Hey guys, today we're going to talk a little bit about hiding in plain sight. You know, the negative aspect to being involved with a married woman, and how do you get in that situation where you're involved with a married woman and maybe the husband comes after you? Do you have to go and hide? Do you need to go to another city and hide, sort of like hiding in plain sight? You know, everybody sees you and knows you, but you're hiding from the husband. Well, where did this come from? I got an email from a guy named Chuck. He's a 66-year-old man, decided to come to the Philippines and retire and live. He has a monthly pension of about $1,600 a month, not too much in savings. He's a divorced man, got a couple grown adult children back home that he stays in contact with. And he met a young lady online. Her name was Judith, and Judith was 31 years old. And she lives in Tubebuddy, and Tubebuddy is the big city on the island of Bohol. So he flew to the Philippines to meet her. They were talking for a couple months online, getting along very well, and he was happy to come here. And she was a very beautiful young lady at 31. Didn't work, but she had 2 children, and they both lived with her parents. And so did she live with her parents in Tubebuddy. So Chuck finally arrived, he met her, they got along great. It was everything he wanted out of a woman. She was beautiful, she could hold a conversation with him. She was the old-fashioned type girl that he was looking for. She liked to take care of him, you know, cook for him, clean for him, and be a companion with him. And Chuck's main goal coming here to the Philippines was to find a travel companion and to travel the Philippines and to check it out, you know, go places that you've never been before and enjoy his retirement that he just started. Now, Chuck did ask her about the children. He asked her, he said, where's the father? And she told him that the father's been gone for over 5 years, that they're separated and he's no longer in the picture. And he asked her, are you married? And she said, no, we're not married, we're separated. So here in the Philippines, separation can mean many things. And you guys leave me a comment and let me know what you think of that term. When you hear a woman tell you she's separated, it could be a long-term partner that you have children with and that you separate. The other is you're married and you act like you're divorced and you separate. Those are the only 2 ways I know how to put what separate means. You know, she had a long-term partner, she had children, and then they separated, and it's been over 5 years. So that's a long period of time. Chuck was pretty comfortable with her and her words about the separation and that they're no longer together. And I don't think Chuck really understood what she was meaning by this. And to go into what his problem was, he met Judith, he met her family, he liked her very much, and he asked her to move in with him. Now, they were in Tubebuddy for about 3 months, dating, seeing each other every day, doing things together, but she lived with her family and he lived by himself. He had a hotel or Airbnb, and they just saw each other almost every day, and I'm sure she spent a lot of nights over there and things, but in his mind, they were just dating at this point. He asked her, hey, let's go and travel together. I want you to be my girlfriend, I want you to be my travel companion, I want you to be my partner, and let's go travel around the Philippines. And Judith was all for this, and they made arrangements with the parents to take care of the kids. Chuck agreed to send them $200 every month to take care of the 2 children. So they were going to school, they needed school supplies and such, and everybody was agreed. Judith was real happy with this, and Chuck said, should we get a place to live here in Tubebuddy and travel from here? Judith goes, no, let's move. Let's move away. Well, to me, that's a red flag when a woman wants to move away from her children. Now, maybe she doesn't want to live in the same house as her family. Maybe she doesn't want to be in the same barangay or the same neighborhood, maybe on the other side of town, maybe on the other side of the island, but really they don't want to move far away. They want to stay close to their children and their family. Everything went fine. Then they decided to go to Iloilo and check Iloilo out. And, you know, they went there. Now, they both had Facebook accounts. You know, Chuck was staying in contact with his family through Facebook, And Judith was doing the same thing. It's how people communicate here in the Philippines. Well, while they were in Iloilo, Judith got really upset, and Chuck knew there was a problem. He didn't know what it was. And Chuck looked at his Facebook, and he had a message. He had a message from a young man who was saying, "Sir, you're sleeping with my wife. I am going to report you." And I'm sure Judith got the same message from her husband, but not in the same words. You know, they probably spoke in a different tone. So Chuck is all upset now. He doesn't know or understand how dangerous it can be to be with a married woman here in the Philippines. You know, he's thinking more like back home, you know, yeah, you can date a married woman. She's been separated for a long time. You know, there's no adultery laws in the U.S. that are going to be enforced. So he really didn't pay much attention to it until he started talking to some other foreigners, and they told him, man, you could get into big trouble over this. That's where I got the email. That's where I got the email from Chuck telling me of his situation, how he really likes Judith. He wants to stay with her, and he doesn't know what to do. He ended up blocking this guy on his Facebook and locking his Facebook account. And Judith did the same thing. She locked her account, and I'm going to assume she opened it from time to contact her mother and her children. But Chuck is a little bit worried. They left Iloilo and they came down through Dumaguete, but they went to Bayawan. They wanted to stay in Bayawan. It seemed to be far enough off the beaten path, but still a nice place to live, a nice place to stay. So that's where they headed. And the more Chuck was thinking about the ramifications, the problems he could get into here, and in a follow-up email to me, you know, say, hey, Mike, how do I handle this? Is it really against the law? And I referred him to an old video that I did about the law on adultery, you know, going out with a married woman. He wanted to know how big a problem could he be in. So we did a video chat, and I found out he's on a tourist visa. Now, if you're on a tourist visa and someone files charges against you, you're not going to get an exit clearance. You're not going to be able to leave the country until you take care of the matter. And he's asking me, you know, I don't know if there's any charges filed against me. What should I do? I told him, set something up with JRC or somebody, some immigration service in Bayawan or even in Dumaguete that can renew your tourist visa for you. So you don't personally go down to the immigration office and get arrested or detained because there's charges against you. Let somebody else go down there to make sure everything is okay, do all the paperwork for you. Now, Chuck, he doesn't have a lot of money. $1,600 is his pension. $200 of that he has committed to the family for taking care of Judith's children. And that leaves him about $1,400. Does not have much money in the bank. You know, I always say, save money before you come to the Philippines. You never know what happens. Well, he doesn't know what's going to happen, and he doesn't have enough money to defend himself in court if he has to go. He doesn't have enough money to hire a lawyer to start the annulment for Judith. He just doesn't know what to do, and he wanted my advice. I don't know what the correct thing to tell him is. What I told him was, you should bring her back to Dumaguete, put her on a ferry, and send her back to her hometown of Tacloban, and then go on with your life. It looks like this can of worms is starting to get really, really deep, and so much problems can develop here. Now, my understanding with the law, and you guys let me know if I'm wrong, is if someone files charges of adultery against their wife and the boyfriend or whoever they're having an affair with, they have to prosecute both people. They have to, whatever the fine or the jail time, both parties have to serve the same. You know, so women can't be setting up rich men, that the woman is going to be punished as much as the man. I said, Chuck, there's no end to this. There's no end to this. There's no divorce in the Philippines. You can watch other YouTubers talk about in the future there might be divorce. There's something always, there's some bill that might get passed that'll allow divorce in the Philippines. But you can do an annulment, but it's so expensive, so costly. And once the husband knows that the woman's cheating on him, and the judge finds out, the judge will never allow for an annulment. So Chuck is really screwed in this matter, and I need your opinion, guys. And I told Chuck, read all the comments here. We'll try and get some help through the comment section. And a lot of the comments are going to be negative. They're not going to really want to help you. They're just going to tell you how stupid you are for getting involved with a married woman. And this is something you guys, when you come out here, if a woman smells like she's married, she has children, she tells you she's separated, spend that money and get that Senomar and find out for sure that she's single or not. The deep problems that can be caused by her being married, and then you get an angry husband. Even if he deserted her for 5 years, 10 years, he comes back into the picture, especially if there's children. The ramifications can be a lot. This could be trouble for you. And there are more and more foreigners going to jail for normal laws that really didn't affect us. But they're starting to be enforced more and more. Every day you're seeing somebody do a story about somebody being put in jail or detained for some reason. And also the repercussions from the husband. What if the husband is a really jealous, angry man and he wants to come after you and shoot you? Now I know lawyers have told me, well, he can't just walk up to you and shoot you. That'd be murder. If he caught you in bed with his wife and he shot you, that might be justifiable. So, be careful. It's you by yourself. When you have a beef with somebody, especially a husband or a family, they have more family members here than you do. It's just you against them. They could have 20 cousins, 3 brothers. The family could be very large. And they could be very angry if they get drunk and pissed off. So you have to be very, very careful. Now, why is Chuck going through all this? Well, once I saw him on the video chat, I could tell why. Chuck is a overweight, balding old guy, like me, like most people here. He's found a beautiful woman. He doesn't believe he can find another woman this beautiful to be with and to enjoy her company. And so he wants to be with her, and now he's sort of committed to her. It's sort of like a mind game where you think, if I don't keep her, I'll never find anybody else. And I think he's in that predicament. Chuck is a 5, 6 at the best. Me, I'm a 4, 3, or 5, whatever you want to call it. But the woman, Judith, she's a 7, 8, 9. Judith is a beautiful woman. And Chuck is very lucky to have somebody that beautiful who wants to be with him and spend time with him. Chuck's main problems all revolve around not doing his homework, checking to make sure she's married, not having options, and also not having enough money to come here and solve any problems. Money can solve your problems. I'm sure this husband, you pay him off or something. You get an attorney and find out what rights you have. I don't know what rights he would have, if any, but you'd want to hire an attorney to protect yourself. You do your tourist visa extension, and they might have you do an NBI. They might take your fingerprints, and they'll do a background check on you. And if you have any cases against you, and maybe this is a case against you, maybe this gentleman filed cases against you, Chuck, and that's going to cause you to be detained. When you go to do your exit clearance after 3 years, you want to go, out of the country and then come back as a tourist. You need that exit clearance. Maybe they won't let you leave. Maybe they'll put you in detention because you have charges against you. I don't know this. You guys let me know this. I gave Chuck the name of a good attorney that I know here in Dumaguete. But again, does he have the money for this? Is he willing to do it? He better. The dark side of this story could be bad. And even if Chuck wants to take Judith and go live in Thailand or go live in Cambodia or Vietnam, or even take her back to the U.S., because she's married, it's going to be very difficult for her to leave the country. It's going to be very difficult. There's no way she'll get into the U.S. under a K-1 visa because she's married. And traveling to these other countries, maybe she can, get on a plane with a passport and get out of the country, but that's going to take her away from her family, away from her children for a long time. And again, the expense of doing all this when you have a small budget, $1,400 to $1,600 a month and no savings. He's known about her being married for a long time now. She held it from him for about 3 months. It took 3 months for him to find it. So I don't think it's wrong for him to put her on a ferry and send her back home and just call it quits because she lied to him. But I think it's a mental thing here. He has the perfect girlfriend for him. What will be the outcome of this story? I don't know. I don't think it's going to end well unless he sends her back home. Everything else doesn't look good for him. Her husband looks like he really wants some money or something, and Chuck just doesn't have it to give. His best bet at this point, if he doesn't send her back home, is to contact this guy, get on a video chat with him, talk to him, see if you can work something out. If not, you just got to put her on that ferry and send her on her way. Guys, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think, as always. Oh.